Hi, everyone, and welcome to Books for My Soul, Meet the Author, where we meet with our very favorite authors and we get to interact with them one-on-one. Today, I want to introduce to you Jackie Kado, who is a good friend of mine. We have walked some journeys together, and perhaps we'll touch on those as we go along. But I really want to welcome her today because she has a powerful, powerful story from which we can all glean something or two. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you, Polly.
Jackie is the executive director of an NGO, and she tells me this NGO injects science into policy making. You know, when she first told me that, I was so fascinated, and maybe one day we'll have an opportunity to hear what that means. Sure. But Jackie is also an author. She's written a book called Arise, Become, Conquer, a wonderful book that is based on her life experiences. Up to a few years ago, because she tells me she's writing another book that will now focus on her life beginning, I think, maybe 2019, 2020. Yes.
Sure.
Yes. But for now, Jackie, take us to Arise, Become, Conquer. You know, one thing that fascinated me about this book is the way you've chosen to tell your life story in a way that teaches us how to arise, become, conquer, using the lens of your own life, but in a very unique way. So maybe tell us the backstory.
The backstory is so simple. There's a time when you reach in your life and you think you have it all figured out. Life is good. You need to let the generations know what your life, that it was significant for something. At the very least, your children, you know, somebody to tell your version of your story, the story of your life in your own words.
So, let's go to Arise. You shared a bit of your story in the book, and I know it's so powerful. Take us through that, the backstory concerning Arise itself.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting. You say a little of my backstory. I look at this book now and I shared a lot. There's too much information in it. I mean, looking back, if I had to write the book again, I would write it so differently. But this particular book is looking at my life in different phases or different spaces and then trying to sort of categorize them. And that's how I came up with Arise, Become, Conquer. And Arise essentially is the formative stage of my life. It's the early years. I don't know nothing. I'm still trying to find identity, trying to get acceptance, trying to figure out, do I belong or do I not? And the worst thing about that phase of Arise was the realization that I didn't feel affirmed. I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel ever being able to arise to the challenge. So to get attention or to exercise, to show my power and might as being a child, I ended up doing very strange things, you know, things that, I don't know, just loaded over people so that they know I exist. It's a very strange way and very childish thinking ways of getting attention. So for instance, in Arise, I remember one time my brother, and we were young, because when we were young, I think we had the culture of the elders usually takes care of the younger ones. So I ended up looking over my siblings, and I'm born in a family where I have 5 siblings. I mean, we are totally 5. In total, we are 5, and I'm the eldest. So looking after them, I think I had so much authority when my parents were not at home. I almost felt like I'm the second parent. So I was responsible for them, to put them in line, to make sure they're fed, clothed, bathed, and things like that. But it frustrated me also because then I never really got a chance to be a child. So what did I do with that little power? I ended up frustrating the rest of them. So my brother one time was sick, and I'm the one who's responsible for the cleanliness of the house. He made the mistake of puking in the sitting room. And I was not going to wipe that out because it's his puke. How dare you puke in the sitting room? He should have gone to the bathroom. Do you know I made him drink? Go and wipe it first, take it back in. But second, if you can't, there's the amount you can't take in, please go get a mop and wipe. It was horrible. I mean, I think I traumatized that child.
But you know, when you first told me this story, in fact, first I read it in your book, and then you shared it another time. And I was like, I hope the boy forgave you. But
Time heals all wounds, man. Time. I've been
yeah,
redeemed by time.
amen. And also, Jackie, you're not alone in that so many of us have come through a journey that when we look back, we are like, now we understand why
Yeah.
we reacted to some things in some way. And
Yeah.
sometimes it was inner turmoil. And I know
Yes.
you've mentioned, lacking identity.
Mhm.
I mean, you've said
Yeah.
something like you are parenting and you're a child as well. So
Yeah.
there's some friction that comes there. So
Yeah.
we totally understand. And I know we're going to glean even more from that
Yeah.
stage. Now take us to become.
Okay. So
Tell us
the
something.
reason why Arise was so powerful is because I felt I didn't have a very good father figure. So I was raised as a stepchild. And I bore the brunt of my father's frustrations and anxiety because I was his stepchild. And I don't know, there's just this culture that stepchildren either ruin the home or they come with additional baggage that is unnecessary. And the funny thing, I almost felt like my mother was helpless. And I don't know why that, I mean, looking back now, maybe I can give her and extend her some grace. But that was really the defining moment because then my character was formed because I had to build relationship at the family level that was peaceful. And I realized if I did what I was told, if I obeyed, if I got good grades in school, then I stopped getting into trouble, which was interesting. So then, because I found better ways and not being a delinquent to get the attention. So, for instance, instead of getting the attention of my parents through the things I put my siblings through, or just, being a bad child and rebellious, I figured out if I actually did what they said, I excelled in school and produced the marks that they wanted. If I was told to clean the car and cleaned it thoroughly, if I had to empty the bin, I realized I got along better. So picking that from the Arise bit, which was the lesson, so I got value, good character. Now I had set my mind on at least forming better relationships and getting respect in the process. So come becoming, I now grow and enter the space where I'm just finishing high school, being called to university. I've done my university lesson. But the shock at becoming is I also became a parent by the time I was leaving campus. So and that was such a disappointment to my family. I mean, I remember there are instances when they just didn't let me breathe, like where the hell why are we in this situation? How comes you're not fulfilling our dreams? Like for instance, when your parents take you to campus, they need you to be a doctor, engineer, pharmacist, those big jobs then. You're not realizing that. And I really felt that sense of despair. I really disappointed my family. But then I realized that I now got into very strange relationships because I am crushed on. And therefore, even at the workplace, I don't forge very good relationship because I end up being a poor judge of character. Two, when somebody helps me, I translate that as them loving me because I had very, very skewed idea of what love is. But last and not least is just trying to find my identity in all the wrong places. So if, for instance, I put my mind so much at work, and maybe my work at that time was not paying enough. So I end up into friendships that would support the needs that I had that were not being fulfilled then. So I ended up being a very dependent friend, those needy friends, friends that do everything. But I realized that there are relationships that actually work when you're permanently needy. The moment you stop being needy, those relationships don't work. And that was the case of my best friend and I at the workplace because she even got me that job. So in becoming, I realized that, the relationships, not just with God, are important, relationships with people, and they need to be sound.
Tell us how the conquering came.
So Arise, I had new tendencies, I have new values. Becoming, now I become a people pleaser, literally, I'm a doormat.
Yeah.
Then I
This is
realized,
not good.
this is not the way to live.
Right.
But because I'm earning some money, I'm becoming independent. Even the little pay that I started with in becoming with
Yeah.
my first job was increased because of my diligence. So please remember, I have very few friends. I've got not character issues. So I make a little more money because my work speaks for itself. I become a perfectionist. I don't carry people along. I go there and do the stuff. So the work from the career is really in check. So I get more money. In getting more money, so now I realize that I'm constantly pleasing people. So when I stop, the relationships that were built on me being dependent
Right.
literally fall flat on their face.
Yeah.
So I remember narrating a story in Conquering where a friend of mine asked me to take her out for drinks. And in this asking, decides that because we're both singles, let's invite some two guys. So we go out for drinks. I'm telling you, the entire night, people were drinking on my bill, on my tab.
Oh my goodness.
In the club, by the end of the night, my car was vandalized. I mean, they stole the headlights. So at the end of the day, I'm driving home. I was so annoyed. Driving
Yeah.
home, and then to reach home, imagine the people who I was buying drinks for the whole night
Yeah.
never chipped even to repair my car. Not even my friend who took me out and hooked us up with the Nigerians. So I felt like, this is so one-sided. I've never been used.
So it was like a wake-up call
Yes.
towards the conquering of all of
Yes.
these things that, you need
Yes.
to relook at. Yeah.
So how I get to conquer is realize that no is actually a complete sentence. I don't need to pay for any of your bills. I should be
Yeah.
able to have boundaries.
I read this sentence in your book where you say no is a complete sentence. And that is so powerful because so many of us don't know when to say no. In fact, we're kind of fearful. So would you say that learning to say no and to set boundaries is one of the, maybe key steps of conquering?
Yes. Yeah. It is. It is indeed, because then you avoid a lot of anguish, a lot of, trials and tribulations around how did I get involved with this person? What am I looking for? Am I looking for validation? Because why is it that during the fun time, we are all there? But when the hard times hit, I am actually alone with my issues. Nobody I was having a good time took that car to the mechanic.
So arise, become, conquer. You told me in an earlier conversation that we go through different stages in life and that your conquering at that time looks very different from what conquering is in the stage of life you're at. And I remember thinking that's so true because life is a constant transition, So I'm really looking forward to even seeing the next book because I know there's still more lessons you've learned from Arise, Become, Conquer. Now we want to see what the next thing will be.
I mean, my version that wrote that book is so different from now, a whole perspective that comes with age, that comes with experience, that comes with knowing who you are. And in conquering, I think I also knew who I was in Christ. Because sometimes we go through a long journey of life and a lot of wilderness because we don't know ourselves, we don't get the father figures that need to be there. And little do we know that looking for a father figure, sometimes you can just look at Christ and see the love that is unconditional and realize you are whole first as a person.
So we look forward to seeing to taking a copy of this book. Might you have a copy of it? You show us, and then I know it's on Books for My Soul. Arise, Become, Conquer by Jackie Kado. How much can we expect to pick it up as an ebook on Books for My Soul? And maybe those who might want a hard copy, you can let them know.
Okay, so on Books for My Soul, you can get an e-copy for 400 shillings. If you need a hard copy, those are also available, but those would be at 1,000 shillings. And we can arrange delivery for any place that you are.
So everyone, you've heard our reading audience, you can grab a copy of Jackie's extremely unique book. I mean, I just loved it. Her life story written and shared in a very, very unique way. You can pick it up at Books for My Soul for 400 shillings. That would be the ebook version. And if you want a printed copy, feel free to reach out to Jackie. And she has promised she's even able to deliver it to you, and the price is only 1,000 shillings. So God bless you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Please answer when we call. We'd be glad to have you.
Sure.